Well, folks, it does pay. Pays to have a dog. So, that shed, let me tell you a little story of what happened. That shed's approximately 20 feet wide. It's about 15 feet deep. It's irrelevant how tall it is. But my wife was in there, both doors open. She was in the far left in the corner. She was organizing some boxes, clearing space out, just doing your normal cleanup. And all of a sudden, the dog, who was out on the gravel in front, started barking up a storm. Now, my wife couldn't see anything being on the inside, but instantly the dog alerted her. By the time my wife turned around, though, there was a vagrant. He already had his foot up on the step, ready to enter into the shed. Wife was alone. I wasn't here. No neighbors were around. My wife immediately noticed he had a Bowie knife tied to his hip. My wife asked him to step back. He did not. The dog continued to bark, and maybe it was a mixture of my wife being a little bit more forceful and the dog barking. My wife told him to back up in a more aggressive tone, and the dog barking, he took a step backwards, then 2 steps backwards. My wife then got towards the exit of that shed and stepped down herself. My wife says to him, "You need to go." And this guy's asking for money. Now, we live all the way up in the White Mountains. Very far place for somebody to come around knocking on doors or whatnot asking for money, let alone having a Bowie knife strapped to his hip. The dog continued to bark. And I think that's what ultimately saved my wife at the time. The gentleman proceeded to leave. Now, if the dog wasn't there, there's all kinds of questions that go through our minds. The dog wasn't there. Wife's back is towards the entrance. Would this guy have stepped in? Would this guy have maybe possibly closed the doors? All kinds of thoughts go through our mind. But thankfully the dog was barking up a storm. And maybe that's what saved her. Not saying that this guy would have done anything, but we all sometimes have to presume the worst. I mean, we do have some neighbors, and maybe this guy just didn't want to be seen or confronted. But I'm just telling everybody, it does pay. It does pay to own a dog. They are a living motion detector. They can hear sounds and detect movements that you and I cannot hear. It also pays to keep a gun nearby, and we talked about it. Although we do own a few firearms, we decided that, while working, especially in the shed or while we're, in the back of the house where nobody can see, it's best to keep a handgun nearby, or if not, strapped directly onto our waist. Anyway, folks, I just wanted to share that little bit of information. It's kind of odd that a vagrant would wander off the beaten path, going around from home to home, asking for money. Maybe he was hoping that nobody be home at all, and that way he can break in. I don't know. At this point, it's just pure speculation what this guy's intentions were. Anyway, have a great day.